Welcome to Knicks Home Court with your host. My name is Greg Armstrong. This is episode number 88. And before I get into that debacle of a game from last night, just want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the last few games. I haven't had a chance to get on the microphone and bust a podcast lyric. So something I wanted to say. Actually, the funny thing is I did a podcast. I just didn't finish it. And I just didn't have the time to finish it, and it became old news. But I'll just say a couple of lines of what I was saying about the Memphis game. Is it seems like the Knicks, every time the Knicks play a team like the Grizzlies or any team, it's always some nondescript average player who's always been average who plays against the Knicks and has an awesome game, like JaMychal Green, like Tyreke Evans. Yeah, Tyreke Evans has a lot of talent, but he hasn't recognized his full potential. So he's an average player right now. And he went off on the Knicks, and, you know, and the thing is, I don't blame that on the fact that the Knicks aren't really a good team right now, or they're trying to become a good team and become a team at the same time. But even when the Knicks were good in the 90s, the mid-90s, we used to play certain teams, and it always would be some dude that just, like, against everybody else, he averages 5 and 6 and 7 points. Against the Knicks, he recognizes his full potential. This shit has been happening for, like, ever. So I have a little working theory, the reason why I think that happens. I think that happens because it's the New York Knicks. All right, take out the Knick part. It's New York. Now, I don't think Brooklyn really gets that yet because it's Brooklyn. New York is still like New York. And I think players get up to play against New York because of our media. Not playing just here, but playing them anywhere. You know, there's a horde of media that probably travels with team as well. And people pay attention to things that happen with New York. So it's that one game of the year for a lot of players to showcase their skills. If they want to be traded, they want a contract, or they just want to say, look, I'm better than what, I'm not going to be embarrassed with 8 million New York City people. They always thinking all 8 million people are Knicks fans in the city, but it's not true. But you know what I'm saying? Like, all these eyes, no, we're going to be good. You know what I mean? It used to happen. It has happened to the Giants before. This has happened to New York teams. People want to shine against New York. It just is what it is. It's not that they hate New York. It's just that a lot of eyes are on it. So I think that's my working theory on that. Because like I said, even when the Knicks were good, we would play certain teams, and it'd be like I remember one year, what's this fucking guy's name? I think his name was Pete Myers. Garbage defensive player, whatever. He went off for like 35 points on us. And he wasn't even good. He wasn't even a good player. He wasn't even an offensive player. Like that guy from Chicago, what's his name? Nwaba or whatever. He's not an offensive player. He's a defensive player. He can't shoot. All he can do is drive to the hoop, and he goes off on us. It just is what it is. Now, I'm going to move on to the Utah game. It was a good victory, impressive victory. And another thing too, that Trey Burke played well down the stretch, made some good plays. He looked good, but see, it's funny how, just think of NBA, just think of life, like how everything unfolds. If you look back 5 years, you would never think the things that has happened or the way things unfold in life, it happens very slowly. Everything. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people might see Trey Burke play well and, Trey Burke should start and Frank Ntilikina this and that. And it's like, look, man, it's a slow burn. I want to ask anybody, do people remember the Greek Freak's first year? Do people remember that, his first 2 years? Do people remember him? Do people remember that he wasn't drafted to be the franchise guy? It was actually Jabari Parker who was drafted to be the franchise guy. Did anybody remember that? I'm just curious. I'm sure not many people remember that. So things unfold slowly. And the whole reason I mention that is because I know I'm going to hear a bunch of talk about how Trey Burke could be a future point guard, and nah. His ceiling right now, Trey Burke's ceiling, in my opinion, is backup point guard. He's, how can I say, he's little, he's diminutive. He looks like Iverson out there without his skills. And he's a little guy. I'm not a fan of little point guards. I'm not. Unless your name is Isaiah Thomas, and I mean the original Isaiah Thomas, or maybe the new Isaiah Thomas. He's nice too. But unless you're that, I really like my guards to be 6'2", 6'3". The Knicks' best point guard in their history was Clyde Frazier. He was 6'4". You know, I like big guards because big guards can take the pounding. They can go into the paint. They can do more. They can switch positions. Like Trey Burke, he can't see. The thing is, you want to have a bunch of. That's why I like wing players, because you want to have players who can switch. Like, for example, Frank Ntilikina, if he gets picked and he has to guard, like, say, DeMar DeRozan, he can hold his own for a few seconds. You know, if he gets switched on to a small forward, he has a fighting chance. He's 6'5". Trey Burke can only guard the point guard. You have to look at the defensive side of the ball. You have to when it comes to that. Unless if he's elite offensively, like Chris Paul is only 6 foot. Chris Paul is only 6 foot, like 170, 175. But he's tough as nails, and he's strong as an ox. And you would not know he was that little from the way he plays. Trey Burke is not that. So don't think that Frank Ntilikina, no matter how many minutes it appears that he's losing every now and then to Trey Burke, he's not going to be the one losing the minutes. It's going to be Jarrett Jack is the one who's going to be losing the minutes eventually. Jarrett Jack at this point has surpassed everybody's fantasy, basically. And now Jarrett Jack is like, I'm trying to get that shit. I'm trying to get another 3-year contract. See, in the NBA, them contracts is guaranteed. So he's like, I only got half season left in my legs, but I might get a 3-year contract. So that's why you see Jarrett Jack shooting more. He's starting to play a little bit more like the old Jarrett Jack. And he's looking good at times. And at times he's not looking as good. Because you got to understand, Jarrett Jack recently, the way he's playing has changed a little bit. He's become a little more offensive minded. Jarrett Jack has become a little more offensive minded. He has become a little bit offensive minded, and that is hurting the team. Sorry about the little delay. That is hurting the team. When he came in, when he first started playing, you know, he was all about, let me keep the ball moving and get everybody the ball. He was averaging 6 points. He was maximizing everybody around him. Now he's starting to shoot more and not exactly maximize the people around him. He's not playing badly. He's just playing his game. So anyway, it was good to see Trey Burke play well against Utah. And it was good to see Frank have a seat. Frank have a seat. See, a lot of people calling for Frank to start, and I do believe he should start soon. But there's one thing that people are not realizing, though. The rookie wall is a real thing. All of those games, all of those minutes add up. Frank is probably tired right now. And instead, he's got to play more. So that's why you may see a little more of Trey Burke to alleviate the rookie wall that Frank is obviously hitting or going to hit. Actually, he's probably on a rookie wall now. And then what happens is once the All-Star break comes, you get rejuvenated, you rest up, you think about your first half of the season, you watch some film towards the end of your break, figure out what you need to do. You know, my thing with Frank Ntilikina is I just can't wait for next season. I just want to see, like, because after having a season in the NBA under your belt, I want to see, like, what he needs to work on, obviously, is handle, shooting off the dribble, and being more aggressive. I don't know if it's Frank Ntilikina's idea to try to be the consummate point guard, but, you know, sometimes he passes when he should shoot. And one thing I gotta say, oh my God, if I can go to the top of the mountains. See, this is the problem what I have with Hornacek, and I really don't have many problems with him. And I'm gonna get into him because I got a problem with what he did at the Laker game. But I'm gonna tell you this: Hornacek keeps putting Frank in there with Kyle O'Quinn, and Kyle O'Quinn keeps running these beautiful pick and rolls with Frank. But Kyle O'Quinn, I told y'all, I have counted now. At first I was joking, and now I'm serious. Anytime Kyle O'Quinn puts the ball on the floor and makes a move, it's a turnover or a missed shot. I have not seen him make a shot one time when he puts the ball on a hoop. He'll try, but he'll put the ball on the ground. What happened to the Kyle O'Quinn with the Horace Grant jump shot? He used to shoot that jump shot at the top of the key and never miss. That's what I want. Pick and pop Kyle O'Quinn. Stop trying to do shit that you can't do. And for God's sakes, can somebody tell Frank Ntilikina that Kyle O'Quinn sucks on offense? Like, you don't give him the ball and where he can drive. One thing I noticed that Frank Ntilikina does, and he's still learning how to be a point guard. One of the things about a point guard, one of the most important things about a point guard, you're the quarterback on the court, right? You know certain players, you can't give it to them in certain positions. Tom Brady's not going to tell his fullback to go deep. Speaking of Tom Brady, right? He's not going to tell his fullback to do that. If they use a fullback. He's not going to do that. You know? He's not going to tell his tight end to do a draw. Yeah, run down there. Hey, let me hand it to you right here. He's not going to put his tight end in the H-back and say, hey, it's a running play for you. And the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of times Frank Ntilikina gives people the ball in the wrong position. Certain players, the way Frank passes it would be perfect, but Knicks don't have that. Beasley's the closest to it. You can kind of give Beasley in almost any spot, but when you give Beasley the ball and Beasley's on a run, Beasley thinks it's time for him to shoot. Then a few times I've seen Frank be aggressive and then get close to like where he can score and still thinking what he should do. That part of the game has to change or he will be a bum. I'm just letting you know straight up. That indecisiveness, dude, you got to know. When you go into the hoop, I'm going to score this shit. Or either I'm going to draw a foul or I'm going to pass it to the wide open man. I'm not going to force it. Because you know what? Even if there's a defender there, then you try to go through him. You try to dunk it on him. Fuck it. Either you might get an offensive foul, but most of the time when you try to dunk it, you will get a foul. Because you know what? Players will foul you if you try to dunk it on them because they don't want to get dunked on. No soft shit, Frank. So anyway, let me get to this Laker game real quick. Because I really didn't really say much about the Utah game. It was a good victory. I just saw a few things. I always touch on little tidbits. I don't analyze the entire game and give you the numbers, all the numbers and stuff like that. That's for them stat guys, you know what I'm saying? You can listen to those podcasts. Those are pretty good. I listen to them, but sometimes I listen to them. I'm like, okay, this guy is talking about with this percentile and this math or not math. And I'm like, dude, what happened in the game? It's like you're giving me a bunch of numbers, and that's great. But what the fuck happened? Okay, he didn't shoot well. Why didn't he shoot well? Was he positioned right? Is he taking bad shots? I think nobody really. Some people talk about it, but efficiency has a lot to do with, is your feet set when you're shooting? Are you getting the pass in the pocket where you can come up and shoot it? Are you shooting with 2 or 3 defenders on you? See, that shit is not in analysis, and that's the shit I focus on, because guess what? All of that other stuff, the stats that people want to spew all the time, that comes after the double team. That comes after a lot of different parts in the game. So anyway, Laker game, abbreviated version. First of all, I get mad at the Knicks, and I was mad at the Knicks with Memphis because Memphis is not playing for anything. LA is not playing for anything. The Lakers not even playing for roster spots. It's not like you got your ass busted by a guy who's trying to stay in the league. This is a team that's a lottery team. That sucks. And it's okay if Jordan Clarkson goes off. He's a good player. What's not okay is seeing the effort you're getting more effort from LA, who has nothing to play for, than the Knicks, who are trying to chase the playoffs. You know, I got this old saying, and I'll say this to even any one of y'all here listening. If you work at a certain job or a certain company, you can't care more about the company than the bosses. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've worked for companies where I went above and beyond, and I look around and the bosses don't give a fuck. You know what I say? You know what? I'm not going to care about your shit more than you care about your shit. And the reason why I say that is because LA cared about winning more than the Knicks cared about winning. Simple as that. But I got to get on Hornacek, because the Knicks, at the end of the third quarter, the game was close. At one point, it was up by 6, and then it was up by like 2. I said to myself, the Knicks were shooting good, 65%, but they were up by 2. I'm like, this is terrible. How are you shooting 65% and up by 2? You know what that means? That means you're not shooting 3-pointers. That means that LA is shooting a whole bunch of 3-pointers. I didn't even look at the stat line. I can tell you that. If you're up by 2 and you're shooting 65%, either the other team is making a good number of threes or you're turning the ball over a hell of a lot, or both. So when the Knicks were only up by 2 but shooting over 60%, I said, oh, this is bad. This is not good, because they're not going to shoot 65% for the game. And then what's going to happen? And they end up losing by fucking 20 points. I'm not even mad. I just felt like cursing right there. So it was like 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Porzingis got his 4th foul. He already had taken Hardaway out. So Porzingis had to go to the bench. I think and this is one night that Michael Beasley did not have it. It's those nights, yeah, he was scoring, but he really didn't have it. And that's when there was a time I was like, you know, Lance Thomas should be in the game, because Beasley didn't have it that time. But anyway, not at that moment in the game. So Porzingis was out, Hardaway was out, Jarrett Jack was out. Was Courtney Lee? No, Courtney Lee was out. I think on the court at that time was Frank Ntilikina, Ron Baker, Doug McDermott. I think it was Michael Beasley. I'm not sure. Oh, no. I remember now. It was Hernan Gomez. It was Hernan Gomez and Kylo Quinn, the all-no offense team. And what happened when he had left those guys on the court? You know what happened? LA went on a run. Never looked back after that, because the Knicks could not score. And dude, never put these. How you going to put Kylo Quinn and Hernan Gomez on the court at the same time against a team that shoots nothing but threes? I know you might be trying to showcase Hernan Gomez to trade him, because honestly, at this point, I'm ready to get rid of the dude. He was a 2nd round pick. Maybe we could parlay him into a 1st round pick. That's simple as that. Because right now, he doesn't really have trade value at all. You know what we might get if we trade for him? 2nd round pick. Or some middling player. We got to package him with somebody else to get anybody decent. And I'm going to talk about trades in a future podcast. So maybe I might do one later. I'm not really sure. But I want to talk about that, because exactly what I mentioned is coming true. Because of these bloated salaries, you're going to have teams willing to get rid of very good players because they know they're not going anywhere. Like Jordan Clarkson. I've been hearing rumors about them wanting to get rid of him. Or some of those young rookie players whose contract is up or who haven't lived up to their rookie season. Or players like Evan Fournier, who I love, from Orlando, who they gave a big contract, and Orlando sucks. You know, Stanley Johnson, who never really turned out to be the player so far that I thought he would be, but he's still young. Players like that. But he went with the no defensive team. I mean, no offensive team. They could not score. They were allergic to scoring. And that's when Ntilikina, see, this is where, again, I know he's young, but this is where You pull him aside and you say, listen, or as a point guard, just thinking, nobody on the court really can score. Nobody can create for themselves. Doug McDermott can't create for himself. Ron Baker is not even looking at the rim. Kyle O'Quinn is allergic. He's the worst offensive player once he puts the ball on the ground, on the court. And Hernan Gomez is still trying to figure out life in the NBA right now. You know? So in that moment, Ntilikina got to look around. Shit, I'm the alpha in this crew. I need to go for mine. And that should come naturally to him, and it doesn't. And that worries me. You should be able to look around and be like, wait a minute. Ain't nobody on the court that can score. I got this. I'm taking this over. You know, at least attempt to be more aggressive with guys can get more open shots and shit like that. But no, Frank Ntilikina is still passing it to fucking Kyle O'Quinn on the run. He's passing it to Kyle O'Quinn on the run. What kind of bullshit is that? That's crazy. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you, pay attention to that. He keeps giving Kyle O'Quinn on the ball on the run. I'm like, what the fuck? This is going to be a turnover. But anyway, I want to get into something a little bit. I want to talk about some trades and things like that. I might as well give my take on Kemba Walker, because I know I've been hearing a lot of stuff like that. And you know, the funny thing about the Kemba Walker situation is, why do every New Yorker think that everybody wants to come back to New York because they're from New York? I know people who live in New York who can't stand this bitch. I know people who left New York and are happy as fuck. They love New York, yes, but they don't want to be there anymore. So why do people think that he's going to come here? It's not up to him anyway. But as far as he's under contract. But I think Kemba Walker's like 28 years old. And the thing is, right, I like Kemba Walker. I would love to trade for him. But it's not about trading for him. It's about, what are you getting back for him? I mean, I'm sorry. What are you giving up for him? Not what are you getting back. What are you giving up for Kemba Walker? Are you giving... And I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm Charlotte, I'm hanging up the phone if you don't start with Frank Ntilikina in the first-round draft pick. Kemba Walker is an all-star, folks. He may not make it this season because of the competition, but he's an all-star, folks. And don't think you're going to just come in here and just, hey, we're just going to give you these pieces and just take them. He's also Charlotte's franchise player. And I must say, if he's Charlotte's franchise player, that's why Charlotte sucks. And it's not because he sucks, okay? That's not my point. Oh, sorry about that. It's not that he sucks. The reason why I say they're in bad shape if he's their franchise player is because, let's just look, like, they may be able to make the playoffs every now and then, but to be a championship contender, you need transcendent players. You need players who are all-stars, not even a question. You see what I'm saying? You need look. If you just look at the contenders for the championship: James Harden, Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving. Like, these are all transcendent players. These are not regular players. These are not average guys. And Kemba Walker's not on that level. Kemba Walker on a championship team, he's probably the third best player. Maybe the fourth. Put it like this, if he played for Golden State, he couldn't even start. We know that. He couldn't start for Houston. He can't start for Houston. He can't start for Golden State. Maybe Cleveland, but they got Isaiah Thomas. He definitely could start for the Spurs. Actually, he fits perfect with the Spurs, but I don't know what the Spurs can give up for him. But anyway, so back to the Knicks. So as far as trading for him, they're going to want Frank Ntilikina and probably this first-round draft pick. That's probably not all, because that's not enough. See, you got to understand, Kemba Walker is not only their franchise, he's also their box office. It's not like the Garden, when the Knicks are straight garbage, they still sell out. So is Frank Ntilikina going to help their box office? No. Is that pick going to help their box office? No. So I don't even really think the Knicks have enough unless we throw in a bunch of picks. You know, I mean, Charlotte's not going to want the players we want to trade. Kylo Quinn, Hernan Gomez, maybe Enes Kanter. They got fucking Dwight Howard. So they don't need a center. Now, there is a creative way, maybe, if we're willing to take on salary and bad players. But they're going to have to be willing to take on salary and bad players, too. Because I'm sure they don't want Dwight Howard anymore. But, I mean, there's a way. Now to think about it, Kanter's on an well, he's not expiring. See, if Kanter was expiring, you could say, okay, we'll give you Kanter and Ntilikina for Howard and Kemba Walker. You see what I'm saying? You could have done something similar to that and still throw in a draft pick, because you have to throw in a draft pick. Because Howard and Kemba is better than both of those players. So that's the thing, man. But let's say somehow Charlotte just says, fuck it, you know, we just want to send him to the Knicks, whatever the fuck the reason, right? And the Knicks get him. A lot of people complain about the timeline and things like this. Look, folks, everybody's not going to be the same age on the team. Kemba's 20, I think he's 28. He probably have at least another 2 or 3 more years. He might have 5 more years in his prime. You know why? Because he been to the playoffs, I think, like once. It's not like he's playing a whole bunch of basketball, but he's a little guy, and little guys get hurt a lot. Little players always get hurt a lot. It just is what it is. Unless you're Iverson. He plays until he can't play anymore. He's amazing. So that's the question, though. What are you going to give up for him? But if you could imagine a team with Kemba Walker, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, Porzingis, and Kanter, that's a playoff team. That's a perennial playoff team every season. But is that a championship contender? Can Kemba go up to another level? Because we know that Kristaps is headed towards another level. Kristaps is probably going to be that transcendent player, that top 5 player when it's all said and done. But that's not enough. Kemba needs to be at least top 10. Is he ever going to be a top 10 point guard in the NBA? Top 10 player in the NBA? Is Hardaway going to be a top 10 player in the NBA? I think the answer to the both of those is no. They probably both can be top 20, possibly. So, if you trade for Kemba Walker, what are you getting? You know, you're getting a playoff team. You're getting a middle-of-the-road team. That's good and fun to watch. Now, I say middle-of-the-road with a grain of salt, because if Kristaps is really a top 5 player, that's at least an Eastern Conference contender every season. Championship, I'm not really sure about. Kristaps would have to go to Dirk Nowitzki levels. Also, remember, there's still free agency. You know, you get Kemba Walker. If you put it like this, if the Knicks make a trade and get Kemba Walker, they are just going to need a small forward. A really good one, though. Not no bullshit ass small forward. Now, if they're able to trade, now, if they wanted Ntilikina straight up for Kemba Walker, I'd do it tomorrow. As much as I like Ntilikina, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't think Ntilikina, is he going to be the player that Kemba is right now? He could be. He could be. But the thing is, in the NBA, you don't gamble on could-be's. You go with definites. That's why coaches play veterans. They know what they are. They know what they're getting. That's why teams trade draft picks, even though now they don't trade them because of the financial part of it. But a lot of times, you got to ask yourself, like, where's this going to take us? How far is this team? Where's this team ceiling if we trade for Kemba Walker? See, this is not Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's top 5, top 10 player. You trade for Kyrie Irving. Now you talk about you making runs. Is Kemba on that level? That's the question. Is Kemba on that level? No. So when I think about trading for Kemba Walker, I'm thinking a lot of different things. And one of the things I'm thinking is what I have to give up. If I don't have to give up much, because Kemba Walker can be a piece to help me get to a championship. But if I'm going to trade all my assets or the little assets I have for Kemba Walker, then that's not going to work for me. And the Knicks don't have a bunch of assets. They don't have a bunch of cap space. Because this, you got to understand, the team that the Knicks have, most of them players are going to be back because they don't have cap space this summer. Most teams don't have cap space this summer. So there's no signing anyone. There might be some player movement via trades. But honestly, as a Knicks fan, I am in the mode of right now what the Knicks need to do. Don't trade for Kemba. Not right now. Wait it out anyway. Because there's other players that are starting to come up on the market. Maybe even or Evan Fournier at Orlando. He's really good. I've always wanted him. He'll fit right into the small forward position. He can shoot. He can score. He plays okay defense. I love him. I really do. I'm a big fan of him. I would take a flyer on Hazonia. You could get him for peanuts. You probably can get Hazonia, who was like he was the 7th or 6th pick, whatever the fuck pick he was. He was a high pick. You could probably get him for a 2nd round pick at this point. And I remember everybody's like, yo, he could be better than Porzingis, and he has this attitude about him. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Another guy I would think try to take a flyer on, Stanley Johnson. He's on the outhouse in Detroit. Like, if I'm the Knicks, I'm kicking the tires on those young middling players who haven't found their way in the NBA yet. I'm not really fucking with Kemba. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because say we do make a move and we get Stanley Johnson and Hazonia. Say we get those 2 guys, right? I'm probably butchering his name. Then they become assets in a trade. Somebody else is going to believe in those guys. It's all about getting assets, and the Knicks have not acquired enough assets to make moves. That's why I got to give Daryl Morey props, because all he does is gather assets. Yes, he wants to win, but he gathers assets so he can make trades. That's how he was able to get Chris Paul. That was a trade. That wasn't a free agent signing. He gave up a lot, but but you see how many players he gave up for Chris Paul? Because when you a star, now let's think about this. He gave up Montrezl Harrell, who I think is going to be a good player in the NBA. He gave up Sam Decker, who I think is going to be a decent player. He gave up Pat Beverly. If the Knicks gave up that much, people be like, what the fuck? So anyway, I would go that route first because this team is not ready. We're not a Kemba Walker move away. You know what I'm saying? We're not ready. We're not ready to make that kind of move. You know, if Kemba's available now, he'd be available next year if nobody trades for him. No big deal. You know what I'm saying? Hey, he'll be a year older, yes. And he'll be cheaper too. A year cheaper. Simple as that. But there's no need to rush and make a move. There's just no need to make a move. I like Kemba Walker, but I don't want to give nothing up for him. I don't want to give up Frank Ntilikina. Like I said, 1 for 1, yeah, I'd do it. But if it's Frank Ntilikina and a pick, nah. Now, if you want Frank Ntilikina and a 2nd round pick, I'm doing it tomorrow. You want Frank Ntilikina and 2020 pick, 1st round draft pick? I give you that. Because goddamn, if we not good by 2020, it doesn't even fucking matter, right? But anyway, folks, these are a couple of things I want to discuss. I got a couple of other players on my mind. I will be talking about trades a little bit more in the coming days, in a week or so, and things like that. But I'm not worried about the Knicks. Like I said, they win, it's good. They lose, it's good. Either way, they're in a good spot. They got their franchise guy, which most young teams don't have. Once you got your franchise guy, you're on your way to something positive. Almost every team, if they know what they're doing. But anyway, this has been Knicks Home Court, episode number 88. I'm your host. My name is Greg Armstrong, and I'll speak to y'all later. Peace.